How's it going, Matt?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I gotcha.
You're going to change it up on the last day and try to usurp me like that.
You're the how it goes guy on the first one.
Even our listeners are probably like, that's not right. For over 100 episodes, it's been the other way.
The listeners like, I don't like that.
This is not. No, fix it.
Anyways, how's it going, man?
It's going. Day 4.
Yeah,
tired. It's been a marathon.
We've had day 4 at the Conference of Grandmasters of North America, and honestly, what an absolute blast we've been having.
Oh no, it's been phenomenal, but I'm ready to go home and sleep in my own bed.
I hear you. Yeah, I cannot express my gratitude enough for being invited here and be able to meet such amazing Masons from all over who are so passionate and so intelligent about Masonry. It's been amazing.
It has been, and we've had people on that I wouldn't have necessarily expected that we'd have on. So this has been really fun, really great. Looking forward to whoever else we can get coming on today. Looking forward to you just having to edit episodes for a few weeks here to give my brain a break after this marathon.
Yep. I do think it's prudent for us to give a special shout out and thanks to Most Worshipful Brother Mike DeWolf for allowing us to come here and do this great thing. I know he'll be checking in to make sure we didn't say anything too crazy anyhow, right. So when he hears this, thanks a bunch.
For sure. Thank you, Mike, and thank you for a little teaser for our listeners, inviting us to next year's. So we're going to get to do this again.
Heck yeah. Awesome. Let's hit the music.
Loosen up your ties and roll up your sleeves. It's time for fellowship with Matt and Andrew. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily the views and opinions of the Grand Lodge of Wisconsin or any other Grand Lodge or any appended body.
All right, I am Right Worshipful Don Powell. I'm the Deputy Grand Master for the state of Montana.
Awesome. And what got you into Freemasonry?
So in college, I joined a college fraternity, and I really enjoyed myself, the brotherhood, the camaraderie, everything that you get within the college fraternity. But then I started looking for something more. And so I started looking at the adult fraternities, like the animal lodges, the Elks, Eagles, Lions, things like that, the other civic groups. And Freemasonry was the one that honestly attracted me the most. It just seemed like it was the biggest and best. There's more growth. You can travel pretty much anywhere in the world, and there's a Freemason lodge there, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
Awesome. So you said you're from Nebraska?
Montana.
I my brain today, man.
It's day 4, and it's early.
Yeah, it's just a Wisconsin education. So,
as I'm staring at the pin that you have, that's the shape of Montana.
Shape of Montana.
Yep.
Way to go.
So
it also says Montana right here.
I couldn't see it.
Andrew's notorious for putting his foot in his mouth. So.
You've met a lot of people. So
yeah. So in Montana, what is something you guys are doing in Montana that you're really proud of?
So a couple things. So on the lodge level, we're really pushing the lodges to have events that are outside of the standard lodge meeting. Mm-hmm. Very specifically, Saturday morning breakfast. So in town that I first started Masonry in Bozeman, we started a breakfast at 7 a.m. and there's more people that show up to the breakfast than show up to the lodge meetings. There's people you see at the breakfast who you never see at lodge meetings, because the nice thing about the morning, Saturday morning, is it's not typically a family time unless if your kids have a sports event. And Wednesday night, Thursday night, Tuesday night, just whatever it happens to be, those are very big and heavy on families. So we started this in Bozeman, and then other lodges started to come to visit, and they saw how successful that this breakfast was, and it spread throughout the entire state.
Oh, wow.
So it's excellent. We have a cookbook that's been kind of spread throughout that one of the guys made, and it has very, very basic instructions. It says, if you think this many people are going to show up, go to the store and buy this much food for these people. Turn the oven to 350 degrees. It's a very, very simple walkthrough on how to make food for eggs, sausage, and bacon for 30 people that show up for breakfast.
Yep.
And so that's kind of spread throughout. Some lodges are kind of making changes and doing like a Wednesday at 10 coffee, but that fails because
people work.
Yeah, the target audience for new members is under 40, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a very nice casual spot where everyone meets. No one's dressed up in suits. It's casual, so if you met a coworker or something, or you have a friend who wants to join the organization, you can say, hey, we have this breakfast thing. It's super casual because you go to breakfast with people you don't like. So it is a casual event versus why don't you come to dinner right before our business meetings, and they walk in and everyone's in suits, and that attracts some people, it turns some people off. It's definitely a good change.
I like that idea. I really like that idea. It does add a regularly scheduled event that is easy to bring other people to. I mean, you could bring anybody.
Yeah,
that would be
it's breakfast.
Well,
right.
And a lot of the conversations we've even been having this weekend, it's been like, hey, the people who show up at Lodge, the people who have really close friends in that lodge. So if people don't have those close relationships, they're more likely to be like, I only know a couple guys there anyways, whatever. But if you're going to breakfast all the time, you're going to be like, should I go to Lodge this week? It's like, I know Bill's going to be there, and I want to see him do this and that a lot. Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
And so, like, even though you're adding a second event, it has the potential to help people become more regular in your main events, like your stateds and stuff like that, because they've built those relationships in a more casual environment, which I feel like is a nice little secret sauce to sprinkle in there,
It is. It's really nice. It gets engagement from members who don't show up to Lodge meetings. I mean, I asked one, he's passed away now, but I asked one member, I said, I always see you at breakfast every single day, I said, or every single Saturday. What makes you come back every single time? And he's a little short, older gentleman, and he said, well, I live at home alone, and so on Thursdays I go to Lodge meeting and we have dinner beforehand, so I don't have to cook a meal then. Saturdays I come here, I get to see all my brothers, all my friends, and once again, I don't have to cook for myself. I'm not eating alone. Mm-hmm. And so it really brings some of those guys who spend a lot of time alone, brings them out. Some of the appendant body guys who focus just on Star, just on York Rite, just on Shrine, they'll show up to breakfast, but they're not interested in the Blue Lodge, but they're interested in the fellowship. So it's very, very casual, and it's kind of exploding throughout Montana at different times. So I live in Missoula now, which is more on the western half of Montana, and we started a breakfast over there. I started at 7 a.m., trying to rinse and repeat the model we did in Bozeman. Mm-hmm. Big uproar, like, we can't make it at 7 a.m., that's way too early. So in Missoula, we do it at 8 o'clock. And I was the first cook there. I cooked for about 8 months. Every Saturday to show up and cook. Yeah. It started off, I just announced it in a Lodge meeting one day. I said, hey, I'm going to show up on this coming Saturday, and I'm going to make myself eggs. If anyone wants eggs, come on down. Yeah. I had 2 people that showed up, and we're on our third cook right now because we rotate cooks out. Yeah. And it's excellent. We have a great turnout.
That's awesome. And there's another interesting facet to that just kind of popped into my brain when you started speaking about like an older member enjoying it. We have a lot, at our lodge at least, a lot of older members that can't drive at night anymore.
There you go.
They meet at night.
There you go.
Saturday morning breakfast would be an event that those guys can still attend.
Yep.
And then what nice thing about the Saturday morning breakfast is it rolls right into, well, we're all here. Why don't we just do a degree practice? You can practice the esoteric side of Masonry if you want. You want to practice the regurgitation that we do within Masonry, the catechism. Yep.
Or hey, you want to do some rod work today? Let's get this crisped up so we look really professional, or some quick hitters.
Just whatever it happens to be, it works out, and it's honestly spread throughout the whole state. It's extremely successful. We're enjoying it because we say there's the 3 F's of Masonry. There's food, fellowship, and fun. Yeah, you have to have all 3 for it to be successful.
Right. Well, that's awesome.
And so, like at our lodge, we cook all of our meals for every stated. Okay. I mean, maybe somebody will be like, "Dude, I'm ordering a pizza. I'm haggard right now. Like we've been doing too much this week or something." But for the most part, we cook every single meal. And the other byproduct of doing this type of stuff is, I think, one of the cements of brotherly love is working together on something. Like when you're sitting in the kitchen with 3 buddies of yours, and you're like, "Oh, grab this for me. We gotta go do that," and all this. Like it is a cement. Like it bonds people together too. It's like it's fun to cook with your brothers. It's also fun to feed your brothers too, to have them enjoy something that you sweat over putting together. Yeah. And so it's really a good way to really spread. Operate with that trowel. Like trowel Saturdays or something.
Yeah, something. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because they all the different cities have different iterations. So in Bozeman, when we started, they all eat in the kitchen. They brought a table into the kitchen. So you have like 30 guys in this kitchen, standing room only, eating over counters. And you're like, why don't we just go out to the dining room, which is right there? And they say, well, that would change it.
Yeah.
Like this is how we do it here. And then in Missoula, where I live now, everyone goes out to the dining room. It's just a different environment. It's what they do. But if there's like 3 guys, we might eat back in the kitchen. Because who cares? You know,
Yep.
you're just hanging out with your brothers.
Right, exactly. That is awesome. I really like this.
Yeah.
It's simple. It started off with some guys just getting together on Saturday morning with coffee, and then they said, why don't we bring donuts? That's a good idea. And then they looked over their shoulder and realized there was a stove there. Like, we could use this stove and make eggs.
Yeah.
And it's easy to make eggs.
Yeah, it is.
Don't really need to cook for eggs.
You
We're
got
gonna
my
put
Junior
Lake to
Warden's
work.
gears. My Junior Warden's gears turning over here.
Saddle up, boys. We're going to work.
Awesome. Well, Don, thank you so much for coming on and sharing that. I'm hoping other jurisdictions listening might be like, "Oh, I like eggs."
And it's so easy. Even if eggs is a little too complicated for you, you can always swing by and pick up bagels, donuts.
Well, there's
whatever you
eggs that
want.
come in bags too that you
There's
can
eggs
throw.
that come in bags.
You throw it in and boil it.
Yeah.
Yep, and you shake it.
And if you don't have a coffee pot, there's places that make coffee for you.
Yep,
exactly.
absolutely.
Yep.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming on.
It was great to meet both of you.
Really appreciate
Appreciate
it.
it.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
And have
Thank
fun
you.
at the convention today.
Will do.
So, my name's Steve Allen, Sub-Secretary of Foreign Relations at our Grand Lodge in Pernambuco in Brazil. What drew me into Masonry? I was invited twice to become a Mason in Brazil. The first time I refused because I didn't think it was at the right time for me to dedicate myself to something other than general life, And the second time I was invited, I went along. I was one of 7 who were initiated, of which of the 7 I'm the only one. I'm the last man standing.
Okay.
If you like. So my view on Freemasonry is obviously to make myself better, which I feel I have done. I've seen a lot of changes. Not so much in myself, because when we change one small detail of what we do, we don't always perceive that, but of the people around me, in the way that the people around me perceive me, which is, to me, is quite an interesting thing. I made a rule to myself when after I've learned a little bit about Freemasonry, when I was, I think, an entered fellow, compañero.
Yeah, fellow craft.
I got into Freemasonry in Brazil,
Yeah.
so I know what all the terms are in Portuguese.
Yeah.
Not so much in English.
Yeah.
But the second degree.
Yep, fellow
Yeah,
craft.
Right. And
Yep.
so I said to myself that I should do one favour a day. It can be something small, doesn't have to be anything drastic. So things like giving up your seat, something like opening a door, holding a door open. But you must realise that that's what you're doing a favour. And it's amazing how we change as a person.
When you're in the habit of favors.
Well, I think it changes our personality, if you like, a little bit. It makes us a little bit more open. And so I noticed if I'm in a queue, there's always somebody who wants to talk to me. And I don't know if it's this aura that we generate for ourselves that makes us look more open, approached. And people do. They talk to you, they smile, they say hello. Which in this day and age is something that is not all that common.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of unheard of these days for anybody to want to have any sort of interaction with anybody out in public.
That's right. So, I'm open to your questions.
So, what is something you're really proud of that your jurisdiction is doing in Brazil?
Well, look, we're not from a wealthy region of Brazil. So what we do in terms of extra Masonic things is rather limited. I'm a president of a football team, an amateur football team. The Masons into helping out on that, for the under-20s. But we tend to, our lodge, our symbolic lodge, we also look after an elderly home, a home for elderly people. So we do sort of little things. It's not something that is massive, that is going to make massive headlines. And we also tend to keep ourselves silent about it. What we do to help society, if you like, is we don't make a song and dance about it. We don't want to be recognised, as being this saviour. Just it's doing the favour. It's just doing the favour, It's something that's subtle, but it works.
Yeah, when you were talking about it, you're like, we don't do anything crazy. I was immediately thinking of your favor thing. I was like, Yeah, but, all these tiny things you're doing can actually make a big impact on a person's life. Even if to you it seems like you're like, oh, if we had $10 billion, we could do something crazy. But those small things can make a huge impact, too.
They do, because I've seen people sort of years later for remembering me and saying, you saved me at this particular time. If it was monetary, in terms of monetary, if I could help somebody financially, I would help somebody financially, as long as I didn't make myself bankrupt.
Right.
But
exactly.
it's amazing how people they remember the things that you did for them.
Yeah.
Which for me was, I'd forgotten all about it.
Right. And oftentimes we do. We're just like, it's just like a blip in our day to do a favor for somebody.
That's right.
And you have no idea what kind of day they're having. So something as simple as holding the door open for somebody, if they're having a terrible, awful day, it can be much more meaningful to them than it is to you.
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
just doing something simple. And
That's
you,
right.
you think you're just doing something simple.
Yeah.
And it actually has a large
Impact on them.
impact on them. Yeah.
So I assume you're not originally from Brazil by your accent.
Yeah.
How did you end up in Brazil?
Would you like the long version or the short version?
The best version.
The best version, the most honest version.
Can you raise this up here?
I used to live in Switzerland
Okay.
for a while, and not in a house at this particular time. I was in a hotel at this particular time in a place called Basel in Switzerland. And at the same hotel, there were two Brazilian doctors who were at the same hotel. One suffered from polio, and the other one was an able-bodied person. And the lady who was with the polio complained that her friend would not wait for her to visit the sites, So I said to her, look, tomorrow I'm not doing anything, we'll go around and see the sites. And so that's what I did at her pace, went round to see the sites. I took her to a fun fair, had dinner, and that was it. And then round about a month later, I received a letter from this lady saying, thank you very much for showing me around. It was really kind of you. Once again, this doing a favour, And I said, it's my pleasure. Wrote back to her saying it was my pleasure, it's nice to meet you, blah, blah, blah. And then she wrote back saying, come to Recife, I can show you around Recife. So, parallel to this happening, I met a couple of actresses from Russia in my travels, and they invited me to go and see their piece in Geneva. They had a play on in Geneva. I went to see the play, and the director of the Hermitage Theatre, Alexander Echanov, name I'll never forget, he invited me to go to Russia. And back in that time, you had to get an official invitation from somebody in Russia to go. It was when the Iron Curtain was still up. So anyway, he got me this invite, which I still have today. And like I said, it was parallel. So I had either Recife or Moscow to go to. So I got a coin. Recife was my destination. And I went to Recife. The lady who I took around town, one detail she didn't tell me is that she had a very jealous boyfriend.
Oh, God.
And so when I arrived, I was an awful lot more handsome than what I am now. He didn't like that very much. So she passed me on to a friend. I say passed me on to a friend. She introduced me to a friend.
Yep.
And one marriage and 2 children later, here I am.
Ah.
So 35 years in Recife.
All caused by a coin flip.
Well, all caused by lady with polio.
Yeah.
Complaining to me that her friend wouldn't let her wouldn't wait for her to do the sightseeing.
Amazing. That's a great story.
That is a really fun story. Very.
Yeah, actually, you were a traveling man before you were a traveling man.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, it is also interesting because it displays so well how sometimes it feels like we don't have a choice in life as to how that's, you decided to do one thing and then it came down to a coin flip.
Yes.
And then you ended up where you were and it was perfect. And it's like, do we really have control over this?
The grand architect of the universe works in mysterious ways. Yeah.
It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
It's a ripple effect. I mean, I wouldn't say that staying in Recife was perfect because our lives are never perfect.
Right.
But it's the way that the river took me. The river flowed that way, and so that's where I was.
Right.
Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you for coming on and joining us today for a quick hitter interview. It was awesome.
Right.
I've had fun hanging out with you throughout the convention, so it's been a great time. It's been really awesome to meet you.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mitch Penn. I'm from Missouri. Got into Freemasonry in 2007. I was going through some scuba training with some guys, and we went cave diving every Wednesday evening and every Sunday afternoon. And my work got to where I had some out-of-town stuff on Wednesdays, so I tried to get the guys to dive on Tuesday night. And they're like, no, we can't. And I said, why can't we dive on Tuesday night? I'm busy Wednesday. And they reached into their dive bag and said, we thought you'd never ask. And they handed me a petition for the lodge. So that's how I was introduced into Freemasonry. My dive buddies were Masons.
There you go. It's like one of those small world things, that mystery, the mystery. Where are they at? What could they possibly be doing if not scuba diving in caves? So yeah, we've been sitting here all weekend staring across at you guys. You're our booth neighbors. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about the booth that you're here supporting?
Okay. Well, I am the state coordinator for Missouri's Masonic Child Identification Program. I have 7 teams, actually 6 teams and myself. I make up the 7th team in the southeast corner of Missouri. We go into schools and daycares and nursing homes and carnivals and circuses and anywhere families gather, and we set up our electronics to take fingerprints and photos and identifying characteristics, and we put them on this little flash drive that the microphone can't see, and we hand them to the parent as a quick response to the worst-case scenario of a missing or abducted child. So the information kind of follows along an Amber Alert documents format. So a police officer can load this in his car, in his tough book, and email it to dispatch, who can then stuff it into an Amber Alert. And what would take normally an hour or more is now down to minutes, based on this device. So that's who we are and what we do. The booth is my software developer out of Kansas City. His company is C-Pros, and he developed this kit based on our need to upgrade our old stuff. We had 12 laptops and a hub and a I guess it's actually an external hard drive. We called it a server. And we would do the event and save everything on the server. And then at the end of the day, we had about an hour of wiping to delete all the information, because that's our promise to the families, is we leave with nothing. You take all the information on the storage device. So, but he is constantly evolving the program to keep up with technological advances. And most of the jurisdictions that use it for 5, 6, 7 years before it starts to become obsolete, and then they move on to the next level of tech that comes out. So here we are presenting the next level of tech to the Grand Masters of North America, and his goal is to sell some equipment, and my goal is to get this program into other jurisdictions. And we have given away nearly 260,000 of these kits in Missouri in the 20 years our program's been in existence. And there's been 11 occasions where it was successfully used to recover a child that had wandered off or had been abducted. So it's if you do the math, at about $20 a kit is what our cost is. It's completely free to the families. It's supported by our due structure in Missouri. It is one of the 4 charities of the Grand Lodge of Missouri.
Looking at the tech over right there, it looks like a very convenient kit. Like, all assembles, can pop out quick and get that data. But it's cool the fact that you're able to get that data, switch it into a card, so it's only stored on this little card that the family gets to hold, because, obviously I'm sure the first thing people are thinking is like, you're taking our fingerprints and stuff. It's like, you're taking them with you, because we don't need them. We need you to have them, so that if something happens, it's not like they could call you and be, give me that data quick, my son's done. It's like, no, you have it in your hands, so you can walk right over, call the police, get it in their hands so they can start moving on it instead of trying to figure it out.
I store 2 items after an event. One is a yellow slip that the parent signs giving us permission to interact with their child and collect this information. The other is a sign-in sheet for the volunteer force that actually operates the machinery, the equipment. And if there ever is an issue of a child that went through that event on that date at that location, I can go into my archives and find the actual paperwork where every person signed in and every family signed up. That's all we store, and we store it for 6, 7 years before we destroy it. It is how we function. We We've come a long way. When I first started with this program 18 years ago as a volunteer, I traveled around with an old guy that was teaching me how to do it. Very militant approach to things. The cords had to be wrapped a certain direction, and he put it in his minivan in these totes, and it wouldn't fit unless it was done properly. So he looked like Santa Claus but acted like George Patton. So he had it his way, or it didn't happen. And I am exactly the opposite of that. I'm a very open-minded, seat-of-the-pants kind of guy, and if the venue calls for a certain setup based on architecture or whatever, I flex to that. I go with the flow, so to speak. And so I can train a guy how to do this in a matter of hours. But when I traveled with him, it was a matter of months because of his
perfectionism.
Intensity.
Yeah.
But it is way more intuitive. He used a minivan. I have a carry-on size case.
Yep.
And I have one more box that I carry my perishable items in, my thumb drives, my documents for signing in, things of that nature. So I can put it in the back of a hatchback and go across the state and get it done.
So how many of these are you guys... so you're training people, like yourself is going, and you go to the site, I'm assuming requested, like, hey, we want to have this set up here to make sure people are being safe, like you said, circuses, et cetera, et cetera. How many people do you have going out doing this? Is it just you, or is it a group of people that are trained running around with these cases?
There are 7 teams in Missouri.
Okay.
If you look at a Masonic map of Missouri, it's broken up into 7 regions. So we have regional lecturers, and 7 of them.
Yep.
So we kind of have an overview of that same map, but the Masonic regions are letters, and the MOCHIP, which is the name of our program, Missouri Child ID Program.
Yep.
It's an acronym. We don't put chips in children.
Yep.
It's a horrible name.
You hand somebody a chip that the cops can put into a database to find your kid.
Absolutely.
Yep.
But we have 7 teams, and the state's divided up kind of demographically. Some areas have more than others. Our guys in the metropolitan areas of Kansas City and St. Louis don't travel as many miles as the guys in the rural areas do because of the distance between lodges. But that's our workforce. We are supported solely by membership dues and donations from Missouri Freemasons. So when I get a request from wherever in the state, whether it be from a lodge or from a civic entity, I find a lodge in that neighborhood and I pair them up. The workforce is Masons and youth organizations, either from the lodge or from the schools. I utilize a lot of scouts and a lot of beta students and National Honor Society students based on the fact that they need community service hours. So we set up, usually our events are on Saturdays from 10 to 2. Not always. I make exceptions for good venues. But they'll come in and I'll give them 6 hours of community service time, and an hour to set up, an hour to tear down, and 4 hours of work.
Yep.
So it's a good thing. It gets kids out there. It gets Freemasons out in their communities. We're no longer the secret society of grandpas that don't tell our families who and what we do. We get out there in the community with our square and compass on our shirt and give away $40,000 worth of stuff every year to Missouri's families.
Absolutely. So that sounds like a great program. If anyone's interested and wants more information, how do they find it?
They can go to MasonicChildren'sFoundation.org, and that'll get them to me, or they can go to CProsincorporated.com. I think.
Yep. I mean, the first one.
There it is. So it is CPI sales at cprosincorporated.com.
There you go.
That's my developer's address, and we are at the Conference of Grand Masters in Chicago, Illinois, and he is offering a kid at a reduced rate at this conference. So, and it is customizable and configured to your needs for your jurisdiction, wherever it may be.
Absolutely.
And, you can find me at mitch.mochip@gmail.com.
There you go.
And I've also made an offer for just this conference. If somebody wants to get involved and get a program set up in their jurisdiction, my wife and I will travel across the country and deliver your equipment and train your people. So
perfect. So if anyone's listening interesting, reach out to Mitch, and away you go. But thank you so much for coming on and telling us this cool thing you're doing in Missouri.
Yeah, I've been watching you for a week now, and I've decided I had to go over and talk to you. Hey, how was your trip?
Yeah, it was fine. I've been waiting all morning.
Yeah, thanks again.
My name is Jeff Quavell, and I got into Freemasonry by watching my dad and my uncles all be deeply involved in the Blue Lodge, and when I reached 30, I started wondering about why they never said anything to me about it.
Man, that's a common story.
It is. And I said, Dad, when are you going to talk to me about the Blue Lodge? And he said, damn it, Jeff. He goes, I didn't think you were ever going to ask. And that was 38 years ago, and here I am.
So you work at CPROS, right? That's who you're representing here today?
Yes.
And so that was, for our listeners, that was the organization that does the software and all that good stuff for the CHIP program, or the, I'm missing my spreadsheet, it's over there, the full name of that's the
Child Protective and Rescue Operating System.
Yep. So Jeff here's the one team that's doing the software for that. And, we talked about how important that program is and how it can really help first responders and police save a life, hopefully, and be able to act quickly in those situations. Now, on top of that, it sounds like you're also very active in your Scottish Rite as well.
Yes, I'm the executive secretary at the Valley of Kansas City in the Orient of Missouri Southern Jurisdiction.
Sure. So what made you so passionate about Scottish Rite Masonry to take a job like that?
Well, that's kind of funny. I mean, I wouldn't say it started with passion. It has developed into a passion. I'm active in a lot of different appendant bodies, and I was at an event, and one of the members of our valley said, hey, I think we're going to be looking for a new executive secretary. The guy that's there wants to retire. And he ever thought about that? And I hadn't been, up to that point, hugely active, because I was active more in the shrine and things like that. And I said, well, I'll think about it. It took about 6-9 months, I said I'm interested, and they talked, and we talked, and then finally I was appointed.
You were voluntold.
in a way. I mean, I was asked for sure,
right.
but once they decided they wanted me, there really wasn't a
Right.
Yeah. And so I spent 2 months shadowing the previous secretary, and then he spent 2 months shadowing me, just making sure I was doing everything.
It's a good way to do a transition. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It sure beats the, previous secretary died. Can you please come in and take over? And have no idea whatsoever.
Yeah.
But, even with 4 months of that overlap, you still don't know a whole lot. So the first year is pretty heavy on the learning side. And I know this is true in virtually all the bodies. But the pandemic just decimated not so much membership being there, but membership being active. Because that 2-3 years there just kind of shoved everybody into their home.
They lost their habit of coming and doing stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this year for us is a year of building.
Yeah.
I'm spending my time calling up all the leaders of the groups that used to be there, saying, hey, why don't you have a dinner with your people? And I've got email addresses. I'll send them out to you, and we'll get that going. And during the summer, I had some HVAC problems, and we had to get out the old original building documents. Our building in Kansas City this year is 97 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking through the documents, and I see this room of documents that we don't use, and I don't know that we've used it in decades.
Oh, wow.
So I started talking to a few guys, and before I knew it, I had a billiard table donated. It had sat empty. So we were in the process of figuring out how to put our billiard room together. And then I come here and take the tour to the Scottish Rite here.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, they have this gorgeous billiard room.
Inspiration.
About the same size, and for all I know, back in the day, they all had the same specs. But so I sent pictures to our guys.
You better taking pictures.
I said I want this duplicated, but
this
ideas.
Is
So I tend to get really, when I get involved with something, I get really involved. I may regret how busy I'm going to be over the next few years, but I learned also a long time ago that no matter what anybody tells you about a job they're asking you to do, it's always bigger than what you
Oh,
are
yeah.
told.
Right.
I wish someone had warned me about being a trustee before I said yes, because we own a building too, and we're trustees, and same thing. It's like, I swear, like, you're like, oh, this is going to be kind of fun and easy, right? Next thing you know, we're cutting a stair open, and we're putting a projector in a stair that's going to, like, rise out, and we're just doing it ourselves with a bunch of masons who kind of know what they're doing, but we're trying to figure out how much they actually know what they're doing simultaneously. And you're like, oh, man, these are long days. I wish I could go home, like, you're sitting there.
Yeah, that was a big project. So you said you've been a Mason for 38 years?
Yep.
What kept you coming back after, like in those earlier years? Obviously now you're involved, but...
So, I told you how I started with my dad, and I live in the Kansas City area. I grew up in a town about 45 miles east of there, and that's where the lodge that I was raised in was. And so I went down there. I was initiated. I was super excited, but the 45-minute drive both ways on a Monday night, it was too long. I know you've heard this story a million times. Young children, new wife. I didn't know the term back then, but I didn't want her to be a Masonic widow. Mm-hmm. And so my first 20 years as a Mason, I hardly went at all. And the only reason the lodge probably even knew me was because my dad was so active until he died, which was 13 years ago. So I wasn't terribly active, and then I was having lunch with a gentleman one day, and we were talking about the fact that I had some pilot's training. Didn't have a license. I had 38 hours of pilot's training, so 2 hours away from private pilot license. And he goes, well, I'm a Shriner. He goes, how would you like to fly kids to the burn hospitals?
Oh.
Our temple has a plane. He goes, you come join, and we'll put you in the plane, and have somebody, we'll work on getting the hours you need. We'll get your license, and with all the flights to the burn hospitals, you'll be a full-blown instrument-rated pilot in no time. I said, well, yeah, I kind of wish I'd have finished that in the first place. So yeah, let's do it. So I go and I get initiated, and 2 weeks later they sell the airplane. And so for 2 years I just kind of wandered. I thought I was going to quit.
Yeah.
And same guy comes to me and he says, hey, he goes, the air group is gone, but I'm in this group called the Guides, and we have these cool things called Segways that we bought. They used to be the flag unit for the show.
Yeah.
So I joined the Guides. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, I'm joining this, I'm joining that, I'm doing it, all this stuff. Then I'm on the divan. I didn't finish and I didn't go all the way to potentate, but I was pretty active there. And there just seems to always be something to be done, and I'm a doer type of guy, and
gives you something to be doing on.
Yeah, and so I'm a grand tall seater.
Okay.
The current sitting one.
Nice.
In Kansas City. Talk about a glutton for leadership punishment. But I got to meet the Supreme Grand Tall Seater this weekend. That was nice.
Yeah, we had him on.
Yeah, he was on earlier.
We talked a lot of tall seaters this weekend, which was fun because we don't got them in Wisconsin. So I was like, oh, perfect. Get some more information. Tuck this into the Deputy Grandmaster's pocket and see how it goes. Yeah.
Well, he might be able to help you with that.
Yeah.
Get a force started up there.
Right.
But, so I'm involved in that. I'm involved in my Blue Lodge. Once I got into the Shrine, though, I still wasn't active in the Blue Lodge. And I don't know, I was getting to know all these guys in all these different lodges. Prior to that, the only guys I knew were in my home lodge. And then within the Shrine, I'm meeting all these guys, and I think, man, I really even though I didn't do much, I really missed it. So I walked through the door of a lodge in the town where I lived. Didn't know any of the guys, but 10 minutes after I was in the meeting, they seated me in the junior deacon chair, and there I am now starting up the line to the east, where I ended up. And then I spent some years on the Masonic Home Board in Missouri, and there's just no end.
Yep. Then and
it's wonderful.
You stop doing that, then someone's like, I got something else that you can do. And
there's always something to do.
And you know what? Our fraternity does so much good.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, the thing that keeps me coming back is the fellowship. Mm-hmm. Through all those appendant bodies, I've traveled all over the nation. Mm-hmm. And, I've met people like Sean Ayers with the Washington Memorial,
Yep.
and Frank Rain, Elvis guy in Washington, D.C., and guys in Vegas and all over the country. And during my time working with the Masonic home and the Grand Line, you get to meet a lot of Grand officers, and before you know it, you feel like you know everybody.
Yeah, right.
Until you go to the next event and find out there's a whole new group of people to get to meet. I never met you guys.
Yep.
So for me, the thing that gives me the gas, I guess you'd say, to keep going is the fellowship. So many friends that I haven't met yet.
And you notice how fast, me and Matt have been running around this convention. We know coming in here 4 people, right? We know our Grand Lodge officers pretty well. And then there was a couple of the guys from the At Refreshment podcast who were helping out through their Grand Lodge here doing various jobs. We knew them. Besides that, we didn't know anybody. But I've been talking to people all weekend that I'm meeting for the first time, and it's like you're already friends. And you're like, how does that happen?
It's that core thing that we all have.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that we know what those core values are lowers the barriers to entry to friendship.
Right.
And in all the years I've been there, I've only had a couple people that I would say violated those things. It's mostly all good and a few here and there, but that's true in anything that involves more than 2 or 3 human beings.
Yeah.
But, no, I love the fellowship aspect and getting to know people and accomplish things.
Yeah, and do something that matters. And that's important. Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming on, Jeff. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you for giving me a little bit of time to speak.
Heck yeah.
So, reach out if you want help getting a forest started in, is Wisconsin where you are? Is that what you said?
In Wisconsin, yep. Mm-hmm. Just up in Milwaukee. Mm-hmm.
I've hung out with some of the Uper boys up there.
Oh, yeah.
Which isn't Wisconsin, of course, but
they're like
should
a
be.
cousin. Yeah.
they're like a cousin.
It should be.
Yeah.
Michigan knows it. It should be. The UP should be part of Wisconsin.
All right, gentlemen. Well, I hope you have a great rest of the week.
Yep.
It's coming to a close here, that's for sure, as we watch everybody tearing down.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I haven't decided yet, but I might drive home today. We'll see.
Yeah.
We are planning on it. Yeah. We both got little ones at home that, our wives are looking for us to come take off their hands.
Well, good for you. I'm old. Mine are all grown and gone at this point, but every once in a while I get to see them, so that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Well, you have a good one, Jeff. Thanks for coming
Thank
on.
you, Jeff.
Thank you, gentlemen. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you as well.
And
All right, well, that's a wrap. 4 days in the books at the Conference of Grandmasters of North America, and I am spent.
My brain feels like a static television that's... I don't know if anyone knows what that looks like these days. Maybe that date does.
Yeah.
But just a TV that's on static. I am emotionally exhausted, but fraternally renewed, if that makes sense.
I'll be fraternally renewed once I get to sleep in my own bed.
I'll be fraternally renewed in a week when my feet stop hurting from being in dress shoes for 4 days straight.
Yeah, well, I got to go back to work right away on my feet tomorrow, so must be nice.
It is. It is nice.
And just in case anybody out there in podcast listener landia knows Andrew and ever has the opportunity to share a hotel with him, don't do it.
And don't tell me to tell everyone about your snoring.
You already did.
Oh, good. Yeah. No, we had a great time. We kind of destroyed that room by the end. Our clothes are just scattered everywhere.
Your clothes were just scattered everywhere.
I think it was a team effort.
Mine were in my suitcase, but yeah.
Yeah, it was a hoot. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in for what I presume is going to be a 3-part series. If it's more, then I didn't know at this time. And the future Andrew was like, oh, my God, I've done so much editing.
Then you're a champ. So everybody have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Take care. You can always find us at timeforfellowship@gmail.com and follow us on all of our social medias, Facebook, etc. And have a good day.